Hey, everybody, it's Monday, December 1st, 2025. I'm Allison Gill.
And I'm Dana Goldberg, and this is Beans Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the premiere episode of Beans Talk. This is a daily news video podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. It is free to subscribe to this podcast. And we've spent the last month fine-tuning this show, the little chyrons and the things and the backgrounds and the lighting and everything, based on our patrons' recommendations. So this show is brought to you by us and the patrons of the Daily Beans audio podcast. So today we're releasing this to the public for the first time. This is kind of like a companion show to our daily audio news podcast called The Daily Beans. But you don't have to, like Slapshot 2, you don't have to watch Slapshot 1 to get Slapshot 2. You can just watch this separately. But we do encourage you to listen to the Audio Daily Beans podcast, obviously.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, if you are not on the Daily Beans with us with the long format that we do just while you're walking the dogs or sitting at work and you can't have video up, join us. It's basically anywhere you find podcasts. And, our shows run about 30 minutes to 45. We've got great news submissions from our listeners, good news stories, and some palate cleansers for the nonsense we are dealing with right now in this world. But this is so you can see our faces. Allison obviously has an incredible background. If you don't know who we are, Allison, if you want to do a quick 2-second bio so people know.
I'm Allison.
That's it.
We host the Daily Beans podcast. I also host Unjustified with former Deputy Director of the FBI, Andy McCabe. I also host Cleanup on L45, which is a podcast with Harry Dunn, former Capitol Police officer. I'm a veteran, and I used to work for the government until Trump fired me because he investigated my podcast about the Mueller investigation. And so here we are. Ta-da!
Here we are. And I'm a professional comedian. I also host a lot of large black tie galas around the country, raise money for nonprofits that are near and dear to my heart. And because I travel, my background may change. And so just know if you're watching another video podcast and you're like, wait, where is Dana now? That's part of the fun. Really, where am I in all of these cities? But hopefully the camera, the lights, everything will be enough for you to still enjoy the video, but mostly it's about the content. So just know that some of this we can't change, but hopefully the substance of what we're telling you, the joy we're bringing you, the laughter, hopefully it's worth watching. So welcome to the Beans Talk.
Yeah. And where in the world is Dana Goldberg?
That's basically it.
Okay. Let's not do that. Fair warning, however. For all of you watching, we are not going to pay the glam tax that women are often subjected to in these spaces, in these male-dominated video podcast spaces. We're filterless. We are not going to wear makeup unless we're wearing it for some other reason.
Like I've got a show where Allison just came from CNN, which she often does.
No, I wish I could go on there and yell at Jennings, whatever his name is.
I know. What is MSNBC now? What is it called? MS Now? MS Now.
MS
Allison's
Now.
often on MS Now.
Yeah. But so it's none of that. It's just the news with swearing, and my earpiece is falling out. And you just get to see it all. It's all of us just au natural, but with clothes on and swearing. So welcome. Let's start with Pete Hegseth. When I read this description that they shot a missile at that first boat in the Caribbean and it caught on fire, and Hegseth gave the order to kill everyone on board. After the smoke cleared, SEAL Team 6 noticed that there were 2 survivors clinging to the burning wreckage, and then they fired again at them. First of all, the initial boat strike is a crime. But if they somehow argue that they were armed combatants or whatever, definitely the second strike is a crime. You are not allowed to kill helpless survivors of an attack, even if you're at war, which we aren't, and even if they were armed, which they weren't. But Donald Trump is trying to say that these are Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists. He wants to use this to deport brown people.
And there's zero proof of that.
Zero proof of it. And that they're armed because drugs are weapons.
This is my thing, Allison. If you're going to say this and we're at war with these people and there's 2 survivors from a strike, why wouldn't you want to get prisoners of war so that you can question them, so that you can find out who they work for, so you can find out what the drugs are, where it's going? That's why all of this is bullshit. It's all some sort of farce because they want to just seem to kill people that are on these boats in the middle of the ocean. That's really what's happening right now. These are war crimes. I hope when this nonsense is over that we're actually going to be able to try these people for the war crimes that they've been committing during this time in history.
Yeah, and we may be able to drag them in front of the Senate because there is now a bipartisan effort. Like, they've had 10 years, Republicans, to find an off-ramp, to find a red line that Donald Trump crossed. This is apparently...
And there has been a lot of possibilities, and somehow they still have not found it.
It's like, you're a stand-up comedian, Dana, and you're telling jokes, and eventually you get to one joke when you're pushing the envelope, and you're like, oh, that's it? That's your line? That's the line of, okay, all right. This is apparently the red line for a lot of people. Don Bacon, Mike Rogers, what's the guy's name? Not Witkoff. That's the special envoy to the Ukraine, but the Senate Armed Services Republican. They're all very, very upset by this, and they are now going to investigate. Rigorous oversight and investigation into the Pentagon, particularly after this specific report came out that somebody ordered the murder of those 2 survivors, which is obviously a war crime. So.
Absolutely. Pete Hegseth is a washed up, he's unqualified Fox News host. That's basically what he is. For him to be in this position is an embarrassment. There's so many other people that are more qualified that actually care about the protection of this country, our Constitution, and the military who should be in his position. And I hope sooner or later he's taken out of it.
Yeah, me too. Something we didn't really go over on the beans today because we're sort of waiting to script this until it actually happens. But criminal contempt in Judge Boasberg's court is back on. Like
Let's go.
Boasberg this week, the Department of Justice filed a notice to the court saying it was Kristi Noem who ordered the planes to stay in the air when you said to turn the planes around. So they threw Kristi Noem under the bus. Not
surprising.
Although they did say, they put her in a gravel pit with cricket. Although they did say that Emil Bovee, who's now a judge on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, and Todd Blanche advised her to not turn the planes around, even though Judge Boasberg ordered the planes turned around. These are the planes that were on the way to El Salvador, where these 250 or so mostly innocent people were imprisoned at a torture prison called Seacoast Prison. And they were moved out of this country under the Alien Enemies Act because they are members of the Tren de Aragua gang. And that, again, is why I think they want to start this armed conflict with narco-terrorists from Tren de Aragua in Venezuela, so that they can say, we do have a conflict. I should be able to use the Alien Enemies Act to render these people out of their country and send them to torture prisons in El Salvador. But anyway, judge said, nope, turn the planes around. Government said, nope, we're not turning the planes around. So by this Friday, Kristi Noem and the rest and the gang have to file sworn declarations to Judge Boasberg, who said he now will have to decide whether or not to refer these people who defied his court order, if he will refer them for criminal contempt prosecution. And that's different than a judge just finding someone in civil contempt.
Right. I hope he comes through.
Yeah, and this would be him referring it to the Department of Justice. Now, he can also, as the law stands right now, he has the authority to appoint himself a court-appointed special prosecutor to prosecute contempt. But I don't think that this Supreme Court is going to let him do that. But we'll cover it all on the Daily Beans podcast, and we'll talk about it here on Beans Talk as well. But criminal contempt prosecution is very serious.
Let's do it. We're going to go down south real quick. It sounded dirtier than I meant for it to be, but let's do it. This is the Tennessee 7. The election is tomorrow. Some of you are going to listen to this tonight, which is Sunday night. Some of you will see this in the morning. This is going to be the 7th. If you are in the Tennessee 7th district or know someone who is, make sure they get out and vote. So Trump won that district by 22 points. That's a massive percentage lead. However, this is now considered a toss-up. Tennessee 7 is considered a toss-up. And with everything that's happening, everything we saw in Virginia and West Virginia, where was the election where we flipped all of the seats?
Virginia. And then earlier this year, we had Iowa. We had Florida 1 and
Yes.
Florida 6, which were down. We were down 40 points, but we made up 30.
Which is
we
huge.
Didn't win those. Yeah.
Yeah. 22 points with what's going on in the world right now. The Republicans and the independents they're just sick of this shit. They're sick about what's going on. They want to try and stop this. I think they're going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening, but you've got to get out and vote. Tennessee 7, make sure you do this, share this far and wide with anyone you know in the area, because I think they can make up that 22-point swing. I really do. That's a toss-up right now in Tennessee. Let's fucking go.
That would be nuclear if we could win that.
Absolutely.
If Bain could win that, I am looking forward to watching those results with a lot of hope. And I will tell you this, you know what? I'm gonna wait until the results come
Let's
out.
do it. Okay. I want to say,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, please, you.
I was just going to cue you up because the president is an abhorrent human being. Everything he has said about women and people with disabilities, this doesn't surprise us. He's been making fun of reporters with disabilities his entire political life, it seems. He's been making fun of women. If he doesn't like what they say, he calls them names. He used the R word to describe Tim Walz the other day in a post. This wasn't on, TV. This is now in history, saved on social media, because that's what is right now. It was a Republican that came out hot. And I want you to read the statement. This is from the Republican in Indiana in response to Trump using the R word to describe Tim Walz. Take it.
Yeah. I'm going to read Senator Bohasek. He's an Indiana Republican senator. I want to read his comment in response to what Trump said on social media, but also remind people that the more Republicans come out against MAGA, the lower the price of dissent, right? If you want to lower the price of something, you increase the supply. And dissent used to be very expensive if you were going to go against this president or MAGA. But now more and more people are coming out and speaking up against what he says and what he does. Again, it's like, this is your red line, but okay, you know what? It's time. And so let me read this statement to you. Mr. Bohasek says, many of you have asked my position on redistricting. Dana, as you know, Trump is trying to get Indiana to cheat and gerrymander its maps.
Oh, yes, I do.
In favor of Republicans. Senator Bohasek goes on, I've been an unapologetic advocate for people with intellectual disabilities since the birth of my second daughter. Not before, I guess, but since the birth of his second daughter. Those of you that don't know me or my family might not know that my daughter has Down syndrome. This is not the first time our president has used these insulting and derogatory references, and his choices of words have consequences. I will be voting no on redistricting. And perhaps he can use the next 10 months to convince voters that his policies and behavior deserve a congressional majority.
It was that statement right there. Let him stand on his own. Let him stand on these words. Let him stand on his policy. I'm not capitulating anymore. I'm not doing your bidding anymore. Yes, there's an R next to my name, but I'm not necessarily voting with you. For him to come out and say, why don't you take the next 10 months basically and think about what you've done? That's basically, it was a father saying, why don't you take the next 10 months and think about what you've done? Because I'm not going to help you. I'm not helping you with this. And I'm not going to help you gerrymander this state. And I love this. I really do. Like you said, I'm sorry it took this. I wish it didn't take people having, people with disabilities in their families to fight for people with disabilities, or a trans child to fight for the trans community, or a gay person in their family to protect marriage equality. I wish it didn't take that. But when it does come and hit close to home, at least he's fucking speaking out. At least he's speaking out.
Yeah. And this will give other Republicans, the permission structure, the courage begets courage, right?
Yep.
To also speak out and maybe say something they're sick and tired of. We know a lot of congressional Republicans are sick and tired. And we talked last week on the Daily Beans about how some high up person in the House Republican caucus told a news outlet that there are more high profile resignations coming in the House. Mm-hmm. So that sort of defection, those kinds of defections. Troy Nehls said he's not going to run again, although I guess his twin brother is going to run for his seat. So we aren't going to get rid of people who look and sound and act like
That's
Cornells.
absolutely bizarre. Yeah.
Also named Troy. I'm wondering if he doesn't have a twin and he's just pretending. And he's
that's when we put our tinfoil hats on. What if he doesn't actually have a twin and he's just like, my name's Jim Bob, and we're like, is it though?
And he's got like a really bad fake mustache, and he's like. But we see just these continual defections, and I hope that there's more. We talked about, we've got now the House and the Senate Republicans who want to look at what Pete Hegseth ordered in the Caribbean. It gives that, going against the tribe, so to speak, the community or the camaraderie of MAGA can be very dangerous, and so the more the merrier. So I look forward to reporting, hopefully, on many more resignations from Congress, from Republicans, and many more Republicans being willing to speak out against Donald Trump. And I want to end today. There was this horrific, bigoted, deranged Thanksgiving message sent by Donald Trump out on Truth Social this past weekend. And his holiday messages are usually deranged and bigoted and disgusting. I think this particular one was written by Stephen Miller.
I would think you're correct.
Where he says, I'm going to end all third world migration. We're going to, I think this was in response to the shooting that happened in the District of Columbia of 2 National Guard members. But Donald Trump's statement was like, that's it. I'm getting rid of all this. I'm not going to give any more benefits to non-citizens. And only people allowed in this country are people who uphold Western civilization, who aren't troublemakers. I mean, it was just a bizarre rant, wasn't it, Dana?
It really was. And I mean, we've seen so many from him, but this one was absolutely bizarre, which is why I do think it was written by Stephen Miller, because he's such a Nazi, white supremacist asshole.
It was so Nazi. So in response, I put out a statement on Sunday on the Midas Touch Network, and then I also posted it at MullerSheWrote.com, as many of you know, this is my statement. I'm reading you my statement. As many of you know, I'm a 100% disabled veteran. And because of that, I receive monthly disability compensation from the federal government. This year, for Giving Tuesday, which is tomorrow, depending on when you watch this show, I'm going to do something different. I'm donating the equivalent of my entire annual veterans disability compensation to the people that this administration is putting directly in harm's way. Immigrants, asylum seekers, undocumented families, LGBTQIA plus folks, and anyone being targeted or threatened under these hateful policies. Now, I usually donate quietly when I make my donations, but not this year, because I want Trump and Stephen Miller to know every dollar they send me is going to be redirected to the very communities that they're trying to punish. If they insist on funding cruelty, I'll insist on funding compassion. And I want you to know why I'm able to do this. It's because of y'all that watch this show. It's because of the people who listen to the Daily Beans podcast, the people who read my Substack, watch the breakdown on Midas Touch. All of our content is always free, but your voluntary support and the ad revenue you help generate make this possible. So you've given us the stability to turn our federal benefits, my veterans' benefits, into a lifeline for people who need it more than I do. So thank you, genuinely, for helping me pay it forward to the people who deserve protection, dignity, and a fighting chance. So that's what I'll be doing this Giving Tuesday. And all my gratitude over this holiday weekend, however you celebrate it, I celebrate it very specifically over food with family and friends. All my gratitude is for all of you who make this possible.
You're pretty incredible for you to be able to do this. And like you said, it's thanks to the listeners, thanks to your supporters, but this isn't something you have to do. And it's something you've done every year and people don't realize that. And I love that you're being more vocal about it, because it's not for you to get the credit, and it's so that they understand. And there is a they and them and us now. I wish people would understand that. I'm probably going to do a video on Instagram. There is an us and a them. This isn't political. This isn't Democrats and Republicans. This is people who believe in the humanity of everyone in this country and those who don't. This is the people who believe the Epstein files should be released in its totality and those who don't, who believe trans lives matter and those who don't, believe that, you know what I'm talking about? Black lives matter and those who don't. There is an us and a them. And I do think it's great that you're being vocal and saying, this is for us, because they continue to try and hurt my family and my friends and our community. And I give you props, my friend. I do. I love that you're doing this. I know there's a lot of people out there who appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I know at the top of the show you said that you do a lot of fundraising and galas for Human Rights Campaign, Lambda Legal, all sorts of incredible organizations that support and lift up the LGBTQ plus community and reproductive rights. But you didn't say how much you've raised over your career for these incredible organizations. Please tell everyone.
You are very sweet. I've raised over $70 million for LGBTQIA causes, women's and trans reproductive health, as well as HIV, AIDS education and prevention. So it's part of my career. I have a very strange gift of making people laugh and then taking all of their money and giving it to charities. So that's what I do. And in between all of my live comedy gigs, and there's so many people that listen to this podcast and hopefully now will be watching the Beans Talk that I see at these events and I know support these organizations. Our listeners have trans and non-binary kids. Our listeners are trans and non-binary and part of the LGBTQIA community and two-spirited family. You are out there and you are the ones that support this. And so for me to have an opportunity to give back and support you, I'm glad that I can do it. And the work continues. The work continues.
It does. And I will continue the work and so will you. And we'll do it every day, all day, for as long as it takes. All right. One thing that we didn't figure out over the month of our practice shows that we did behind the scenes with our paid subscribers is how to sign off from this particular podcast. The Daily Beans audio podcast, I've got a sign off down. I've been doing it for years. This one, we don't really have one. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening. And I've been Allison Gill.
And I've been Dana Goldberg. And this is the Beans Talk, but we're out of here.
We figured we would just disappear.
It may be different every single time. It might just be part of our shtick.
Yeah, we have no idea. If you have a good idea for a sign-off, send it to us, but we will see you next time. I'm AG.
And I'm DG. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
With swearing. Daily Beans, Daily Beans. Daily Beans, Daily Beans.